Yes, this is the Mark Haney Show, and on this show, we tell stories about entrepreneurship, stories of winning. We try to make it inspirational or educational. Occasionally, we end up succeeding at both. Today, I think is going to be a little bit of both. We're going to talk with Ann Staines. She is the founder of Sagent Marketing, and we're going to talk about marketing generally and broadly speaking, but we're also going to be talking about entrepreneurs that change the world, that set out to, in many cases, solve an enormous problem, to do something more than build a product, sell it, make some cash. We all know that that's a cool part of entrepreneurship. We know that creating opportunity for our teammates is enormously important, and building wealth is also important. But there are a group of entrepreneurs that are out there really solving the world's biggest problems. You think about some of the big problems we face as a society. We have chronic disease. We have security in schools. We have all kinds of things, even in business, in the B2B space, in the business space, we are hiring employees, and in this climate, it's tough to find good employees in many cases, and of course, it's tough to build a great culture and retain them. So, you think about any of the problems that we in society face today, and I will bet you that there is an entrepreneur out there trying to solve that problem. And Ann, in her business, Sagent Marketing, she's actually helping those entrepreneurs. She became a benefit corporation, and with a focus on helping people to do more than just grow a business and line their pockets with cash, but to help grow a business that is not only sustainable and successful and generates wealth, but it also changes the world in a very unique and special way. So today, I want you to stick around and listen to the story of Ann Staines, Sagent Marketing. At the end of the show, I'll talk a little bit about what we are doing at the Growth Factory that aligns very much with solving the world's biggest problems. And I am here with Ann Staines. She is a marketing guru, so I'm told. She is the founder of Sagent Marketing, today we're going to talk a little bit about marketing and branding and B corporations, whatever those are. But welcome to the show, Ann.
Thank you so much.
Now you and I were just having a laugh there. You said you were the misdemeanor, that caught me off. I've never had anybody tell me that they were the misdemeanor. So you've been married like 42 years. How did you become the misdemeanor?
Well, my mother was so impressed with the man who became my husband. When he was 19, he was working for my mom and dad. And she just started calling him future son-in-law and decided that he needed to marry one of her 3 daughters. I was 15 and my sisters were 13 and 12. So they would have been the felonies and I was the misdemeanor.
Okay, well...
We did wait 5 years before I got
Okay,
married,
well, that's good. So you've been married like 42 years. I've been married like 36, so you got me beat there. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about your business, how you help others to develop their brand and do their marketing strategy. But maybe if you don't mind, take us down the pathway to how you became an entrepreneur.
You bet. I was always passionate about advertising when I was very little. I loved Bewitched, and I really wanted to go with Darren to the office
Yes.
and do the advertising. And so as time went on, that's the direction I went in my life. I started at a big ad agency in Los Angeles and loved it at Ogilvy and Mather. Give them a plug.
Okay.
Loved it, and also really wanted to somehow use those skills to make the world better rather than just sell products.
Mm-hmm. So when you watch a show like Mad Men, right? We go back into the Bewitched era, and Mad Men, the TV show Mad Men is about marketing in New York, and it's kind of funny to think back to those times and how branding and marketing and advertising has changed in many ways. But I'm sure there's still some core principles that have remained the same.
Sure. The core principles are about strategy, really understanding how are you going to engage and and captivate the audience enough to make them notice you? And then how are you going to elicit a behavior change, whether it's making a purchase or picking up the phone and asking for information, or in the case of some of the social impact type of work that we do, to get them to decide, maybe I won't throw this litter out the window this time. So it's really about getting them to take action.
Okay, so I mentioned B corporations, benefit corporations in the beginning of the segment. Can you describe what those are and maybe how they're a little bit different than other businesses?
Sure. A B Corp is an organization, a for-profit organization that has been certified by B Labs to meet certain criteria for being responsible in the areas of how they treat their employees, how they engage with and support the community, what their environmental footprint is, what their governance model is, and the benefits that they provide to their employees. They like to say they put people and the planet before profits, but profits are definitely a part of the goal.
Okay, so like in a B corporation, who's typically the owner of the B corporation? Do they have shareholders similar to a regular company?
There may be, or in my case, I'm a sole shareholder of the LLC, so it's not required.
Okay, so you are a B Corp as well.
Yes.
But then do you help other B Corps?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Other social enterprises, they don't have to be certified as a B Corp. Becoming certified is something that was a goal of mine because it really described our company and the way that it was founded 17 years ago anyway, before B Corps even existed. But there are so many companies being formed these days by founders, social entrepreneurs, and founders that are really wanting to be able to make a difference in the world through their products or through their services.
You know, that's interesting because I sold my companies about 10 years ago, and what am I going to do with my life? And so I read this book around social entrepreneurship, and I was like, I'd really never thought about that, but I wanted to do something that was good for society. I enjoyed creating opportunity for my teammates, but how do I do something that really impacts the world in a positive way? And I knew it was around entrepreneurship because I think entrepreneurship is great for the world. Entrepreneurs solve the world's biggest problems. But I didn't really understand why it would be a benefit to be a B corporation or a special. I didn't want to do. Well, we started a nonprofit to help veterans, but in terms of entrepreneurship, why do the B Corp? What does that designation give you?
Sure. There are a couple of things it does. One is for a smaller company like my own, it helps it's basically like a good housekeeping seal of approval. It's almost a branding tool so that if you know what a B Corp is, it's the shorthand way of saying how we're different. For many years, it took me 5 minutes to explain how we're different from the average marketing company. And sometimes people would still look at me like, why or how? I remember one gentleman, after this nice conversation at a cocktail party, I explained the whole thing. He was in banking. At the end, he goes, and I said about how we treat our employees and giving back to the community and all that kind of stuff. And he says, why would you want to do that? You're never going to make any money that way.
Oh, God.
And I just thought, okay, well, that's good. You have your perspective. I intend to anyway.
Yeah.
But B Corp was founded originally because some corporations are obligated to make money for their shareholders. And there are businesses, Patagonia, for example, is a B Corp, that decided that we are going to do more than just make money for our shareholders. And we want to put our shareholders on notice that giving back to the community, to making a difference to the environment, is part of our DNA. And so shareholders, just so you know, you can't sue us for not making as much money as we would make if we didn't do these things.
Okay, so from a tax standpoint, a B Corp could be a B Corp could be a public company with 1,000 shareholders,
It could be.
or it could be more similar to a small company like an LLC or S corp, where it passes through. It's more like a pass through from a tax
Absolutely.
standpoint. Okay, so it could go either way.
Any kind of a for-profit company, yes.
Okay, and then when you start it, do you start it as a B Corp, or do you just start it as a C Corp or an LLC and then convert or get labeled that you're a B Corp?
Becoming B Corp is you have to go through the whole certification process. It took us 3 years to get it done.
Oh, wow.
Part of the reason was we moved in the middle of that and rebranded, and that reset some of the targets that we had to go after. But no, I started as an S Corp and then changed to an LLC, and we are still an LLC that has a B Corp certification.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I sort of derailed it there because I haven't really dealt in this area that much. But give me an idea of who your customer base is, and maybe that can help me think about some other ways to take the conversation.
Sure. Our customer base is anyone, whether if they're B Corp certified, then that makes it easy. That's a fairly small pool at this point, unfortunately. There are a little over 100 of them in the Bay Area. We're the only one. Sagent is my company's name in Sacramento itself. There is a chocolate company here in Placer County that I would love to get to taste their chocolate. But I really want there to be a lot more of us.
You're the only B Corp in Sacramento?
Yes, we are.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I would love to have a whole ecosystem of B Corps in this area. That's part of the reason I wanted to be on the show, is to help raise that bar or lower the bar and get more people involved in it. But other companies, we helped a kombucha company that was the first to use aluminum cans because it made the transportation lighter. So it was less environmental footprint, and the aluminum cans were more likely to be recycled. So that had that environmental benefit. They didn't ever see, he wanted to become a B Corp, but he was so busy building the company, he just didn't see himself being able to set the time aside to do that. We helped a company that never even considered becoming a B Corp, but they provided temporary staffing for nursing homes and other senior living kinds of places. And everything they did was about ensuring health and safety for the community. And they volunteered their time to staff call centers and so forth. So it's really about how people are doing business. And then, of course, at the bottom line, can we help them with their marketing?
Mm-hmm. And now, in the marketing of a company like that is doing good for the community or doing things that make our world better, is that a part of what you want to capture when you're helping them and help convey that to the general public or to their audience, so that their audience does business with them because of that?
That's one of the reasons that I feel that we're especially suited to help companies that have that social mission impact, because we understand how to articulate how the branding, what is their brand value and how to articulate that to their customers. There's so much research that shows that there's a much stronger customer loyalty when they feel good about the people they buy their products from. Okay. So being able to articulate that and communicate it in a way that is authentic and breaks through some of the bluster that other companies might try to use, going back to the Mad Men days where marketing was all about tricking customers into buying things. Those really are the olden days. I really am excited about how much more authenticity and transparency there is now in the purchasing decision and the ability to determine what reviews are and what is the user experience. I think customers really are in the driver's seat now, and as a business owners need to, number one, recognize that, but embrace it and use the research to find out what is it that their customers really want so that they can serve them better.
Do you think companies are missing an opportunity? I'm thinking of companies that do a lot of good for the community. They do great things for the world, but they really haven't. They haven't found a way to capture that message and convey that to their audience. They do great things for the world, but they don't tell people.
There is a delicate balance between bragging, because that can come off as disingenuous, but being visible about what you're doing in the community has not only benefits for your brand value, but also within your company. You know, one of a business owner's biggest and most important constituents is their employees, and letting the world know what a great company it is because of what they're doing in the world, that feeds what a lot of employees really want. They want to feel good about where they're going to work every day.
Yeah.
You know, they only get to cash the check once or twice a month or once a week, but they have to want to show up every day. So that's one of the biggest values, honestly.
Yeah. So when you meet with a client or somebody who wants to get the word out about what they're doing, how often where does purpose come into the conversation? You think about the employees who want to be working for something more than a paycheck. I think of that as like a big why that they can align their beliefs behind or alongside. In a branding exercise, are you talking about that kind of stuff?
We dig deep to find out what are the core values of the company. It is so important that we not try to create a brand persona that is not in alignment with the core values of the company. And sometimes the core values are really focused on what they're making and just being professional. Not that being professional is a just being, but being professional and all of that. But they'll also be doing something, maybe it's on the side, where they contribute to a charity that is important to the leaders of the company, or they are doing things to empower the employees to have a bigger voice in the community or be involved. So it's really about understanding what the true personality of the leadership is, their motivation, and then where does that intersect with what the public wants? I mean, at the end of the day, when you want to go buy a soda and it's a brand you haven't seen before, you want to know that it's safe. You want to know that it's going to taste good and that you can afford it. And so there are certain basic things that a business owner has to ensure happens. But if you can also find out that, and we give back 1% to the planet, or we make sure that Wendy's, for example, put all kinds of money into the foster kids program, because that was
right.
Not that they're necessarily a model for what's good for the world right now, but that was something that was really important to their founder.
So can we make me a guinea pig here and talk about we'll talk about this company that we have, the Growth Factory. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So for our audience, you may know that we launched something called the Growth Factory. We are a startup accelerator with an accompanying venture fund and a backyard advantage. And the backyard advantage is rallying the leaders of Sacramento to help the most promising startups. So we've begun making investments, but we need to get the word out about what we're doing. We need more investors, and so that's kind of a sensitive thing. You can only have so many, and as a venture capitalist can't go out and just announce a raise of money, because we need to market to accredited investors only, because there's certain restrictive things. But then we also need more mentors, people especially that know how to grow businesses like yourself or have certain expertise. And then we're also rallying leaders and corporations that want to support this, because if we're successful, or as we succeed, it's going to be really good for Sacramento, because we're going to attract a lot more venture dollars into the region to these startups that we give the seed money to. So to me, this is something that we're doing for the community. Of course, we're a business that is looking to succeed and help win on a financial basis, but to convey this as something right for the community, right? I'd like to make sure that, look, this is good for Sacramento. And I want to make sure I say that in a way that isn't bragging.
Sure. Well, obviously, you're leading with your social entrepreneurship here. So this isn't just something that you're also doing on the side to, try to make the world a better place. I mean, your organization really is a social enterprise. So,
it is. Okay, I feel that way, but I'm from a professional. So you would recognize us as a social enterprise.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're purpose-driven. You're a purpose-driven organization. So from there, then it's about tapping into what are the vested interests of your various constituents and target audiences. Why do they care? What's in it for them? The public is basically listening to radio station WIIFM. What's in it for me? And you have at least 3 different target audiences there with potential or current entrepreneurs, with corporations, and with investors. So you have to segment your message in a way that it speaks directly to each of their needs and why they should care. But at the same time, be consistent, because you definitely, if they hear the message that's intended for the other target audience, they need to see that it all really works together. So it's not this bifurcated thing. It's really all one social venture that has a really ideal purpose.
Okay, interesting. And then when you're segment, are we unique that we have to segment so many areas? With the investors, the mentors, we even need founders to know about us so that we can end up investing into we have a good applicant pool. Is that unique that we have so many different constituents, if you will?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, there are organizations that have a lot of them, and there are organizations that have a very few. It really depends on just the structure of what you're doing. I think it's unusual for small organizations to start out with reaching so far, but you have brought so many years of experience and expertise in building businesses that you quickly jumped past the sort of small-minded thinking that a lot of social entrepreneurs or founders start with, which is, here's this one thing I can do, and then along the way they'll discover, well, there's this other thing we can do. In your case, you saw the whole ecosystem built out that needs all 3 of those symbiotically to work together.
Yeah, you think about iconic brands. I mean, it would be nice if someday Growth Factory had the respect of some of the iconic brands out there. And I think of some of the taglines that are the broad sweeping taglines. I think like General Electric, right? We bring good things to life. Right. I think that's everybody knows that slogan. But they do all kinds of things. They do finance, they do aerospace, medicine. I don't know what else they do, but they have a lot of divisions. So they even do security. But they bring good things to life. They captured it with a broader statement. Is that a wise move on a company like that, kind of a conglomerate?
It absolutely does. It is a wise move because it brings that sense of respect for anything that they touch. If it has their label on it, if it may be a subdivision that no one's ever heard of, but it's got the General Electric. Okay, well, if it's General Electric, you know it's big. They know what they're doing.
Right, trusted brand.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Okay. So thinking about the trends, and so a lot of our audience is in the startup community, so really smaller companies. So maybe let's think about their scenario, because we're talking about people with limited budgets and to go hire a marketing agency to help build the brand and create the strategic plan. It feels like a big step and a big expense or a big investment. Maybe walk us through how we as business owners might want to think about this type of investment.
Sure. Most startups don't have the money for a marketing campaign, and yet they need customers from day one. So marketing is really an investment. It's an investment in bringing in the customers who bring the money that let the business be successful. But even before that, even before you have built your website, it is so important that you have a conversation or have the expertise in-house to have a really strong marketing strategy. Because one of the things that kills businesses right off the bat is somebody has an idea, they want to make something or they want to create a service, and they have no idea whether the public wants it. And it may be something that's really cool that the public can't really wrap their heads around because it hasn't existed before. That's a really tough sell because people don't know to ask for it or to look for it. And people just think if you build it, they'll come. That only works in one movie that I know about.
Yes. Okay, so you're at the beginning stages. Let's say you've got your minimum viable product. You have a product. You want to begin to get it out there in the marketplace. Maybe you're very little revenue or maybe no revenue. Do you recommend people going out there and testing it with customers as they develop their brand strategy?
First, you need to identify, what is the marketing opportunity? Who else in the marketplace is already filling that? And within that, where is the opportunity to steal brands' presence away from the other companies and steal market share? And that can be difficult without some kind of research. You can certainly go off of just informal research. It doesn't require hiring a research company. There are also syndicated research services where you can get that kind of information. If you're looking for funding, I imagine the funders will want to see that you've done some of that research. I know the traditional funders always want to see a business plan that takes some of that information, into account. And then based on that it's so essential to identify how is your product unique enough, whether it's as good as everybody else but a lower price point, or it's better than everybody else at the same price point, or it solves some problem in a way that has never been solved before. So, what is that unique benefit that's going to cause people to leave their other buying habits and move over to you? Okay,
yeah, that's before I guess you even do a branding exercise. You've got to be thinking about that,
right? And that's why that's why I said even before you built your website, because all of that branding and articulation of your core benefit and your brand value has to be baked into all of your marketing materials.
Well, I mean, if you're just selling another widget, and this is kind of something interesting because if you're just selling another widget, but you're gonna tell the public, look, we give, and I don't know what Patagonia does, but we're just gonna give 1% or some percentage of our profits to charity. That doesn't seem that differentiated to me. I see companies doing that and succeeding, but it doesn't seem that different.
No, that by itself is not different enough. And the thing about that is that the product has to stand on its own. It has to be a viable product. And if people have a choice between two products and they see something that makes them feel an affinity toward one, such as they give back to a surfing foundation and these are surfers. And it's like, well, I really like both of these, and these people give back to the surfing foundation. Well, I'm going to go with that one because I feel good about that. But I'm not going to buy an inferior product just because they give something to a surfing foundation.
Right. What about the companies that use like recycled products within their product? Right, they're great for the environment.
Sure.
And if you're starting one of those type of companies. Do you try to capture the, environmentally friendly approach in the name of the company so that, when I hear that name, I think I'm saving the planet?
With the difficulty of getting unique URLs anymore, that's becoming more and more difficult to really have a really strong brand name that includes and automatically communicates something like that. Those URLs were bought a long time ago and are pretty expensive. But it is certainly possible to build in that brand association with a unique name. So you can make up, widget 2.0 name, and then the task then is to communicate that widget 2.0 means that we do this and this, plus we give back to the planet.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about other tools, and our audience is probably thinking, okay, give me something that I might be able to use in my effort in my business. Can you maybe give us some tricks of the trade and maybe some tools that people might be thinking about utilizing?
Well, sure. And of course, it depends on whether you're a service or a product company, or B2B, business to business versus business to consumer and so forth. But I always like to do sort of, and this is assuming that it's an ongoing business already, an audit of your public engagement, the website, what kind of website conversion are you getting, and then also your social media engagement, to see how social media, people think it's a free way to get advertising. It's only free in that you don't have to pay an advertiser, but people who don't understand the need to really take a strategic marketing approach to it often end up with 150, 200 followers, and they might like a post that has a picture of a puppy in it, but they're losing the opportunity to really build loyal, not only followers, but ambassadors for the brand. So how are you turning your customers, who are your most loyal customers, into brand ambassadors and brand influencers through their social media channels? And there are other ways to do that as well. I mean, if we were to talk about a specific company, it'd be a little easier to get more specific. But
okay, let's use the Growth Factory. We're a startup, and we have a LinkedIn account and we do a little bit of posting, but our website, we're new. We got a new website up, and so doing an audit on ours. Maybe I know you haven't done an audit on ours, but maybe think about what kinds of things I might be thinking to do to evaluate how I'm doing.
Sure. Well, I'd start with, what is it you want people to do when they come to your website?
Okay.
So if you're wanting them to click for more information, or to join a newsletter, or to download your podcast or whatever, I'd be looking at how many people are going to that link and who are acting on it, and then where are they coming from? Because the ones that are doing that, understanding where they're coming from is how you find out how to get more of them.
Okay.
And then how long are they spending on each of the pages? Are there pages that you think are really important that they're not even getting to? And are they spending a lot of time on something that is like FAQs, but maybe they're just confused because they're trying to figure out, what are you anyway?
Yeah.
But that's not an action page. That's not a call to action there. And then how many are referrals coming from your social media channels? You mentioned LinkedIn. I would think that would be a really important funnel for you. Are your LinkedIn, a company's or an organization's LinkedIn page doesn't have the same searchability or search engine triggers that an individual's LinkedIn page has.
Okay.
So really, the energy and to harness for LinkedIn is to have the leaders of the organization have really strong LinkedIn pages, and then have that tied back to the company.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, makes sense. And then you talked about creating those brand ambassadors. So, like right now, we're getting ready to invest into a new cohort. And we're beginning to accept applications for potential portfolio prospects so that we can make some investments. And we need to get the word out that hey, startups, Growth Factory is going to do another round of investments coming up. And so then you identify people that influence and help have them share your information.
Right. Uh, I think some of the things that you're doing, the one-on-one outreach to identified leaders in the community, is part of building that ambassador program, because you're tapping people who already have strong followings in the community and helping them to see on a one-on-one basis. It's almost a direct sales model, to borrow a different marketing venue or genre type of thing. I don't know what you're doing outside of your own organization's media presence, but building media opportunities where other media will pick up your story and you get earned media.
Makes sense.
Because it's a social value. You might have more luck getting earned media than the average for-profit company.
Right. I actually think we have had some luck with that. We've had, the Business Journal has picked up our stories. I had somebody send me a connection today to one of the K stations. So it's beginning to happen. It's sometimes it goes a little slower. Do you find that people are impatient with their marketing a little bit?
Yes. What happens most of the time is people jump straight to tactics, and they forget to really do the groundwork of the objectives and strategies. So they'll come in and they'll say, well, we need an ad in this publication, or we need ads on Facebook. Okay, well, let's look at what's the problem we're trying to solve, and what's the obstacles that have to be overcome, and then we'll figure out what are the tactics that are going to get there. And it may be that maybe awareness isn't the issue. Maybe the problem is that they don't know how to spell your website. Maybe the problem is that when they get to the website, they're confused about where to go. You may have a lot of immediate bounce when they get to the website, because it just doesn't look as attractive or interesting or like they're in the right place.
I have a company that has I would call it a significant problem in that realm. So the name of we started a charitable organization. I think I mentioned that helps with veteran causes. We help veterans as they transition out of the military with an educational program, and then help them get into a job. And we have a lot of activity, a lot of veterans going through and having some progress in their job search and getting jobs and stuff. It's really beginning to take off. But the name of our company is Allegiant. And most people call it Allegiant. No, people call it Agilent because of the tech company. It's hard to spell, but it doesn't say anything about veterans either. So we have a program within Allegiant Giving called Patriot U. But Patriot U doesn't have its own website, and it's kind of like a little division of Allegiant, but it's really kind of like our main thing. And we haven't stopped and done what you said and fixed the overarching brand issue. So it is a little confusing. Are you Patriot U? Are you Allegiant? What is Allegiant?
So a rebranding or a transitional branding strategy for that could be really valuable too.
Yeah. So if you look at something like that, if you were to take on a client like that, so how does that work? You say, hey, look, we come in, and is it like a flat fee, or do you do a by the hour? How does a relationship work with a company like you?
It depends on the company. Some of them really would rather have it just be a flat fee with a really well-defined scope of work. Others would rather have it be on maybe there's some initial projects and then on an ongoing basis. We prefer to be partners with our clients, so we may do the bulk of the work up front, but then we're still there to help to maintain and to monitor and to help promote as they go along. And a lot of companies, as they then start to grow, find that their ability to do it all in-house varies until they finally get big enough that's like, okay, now we're going to add another person in the marketing department. Okay, now we're going to take back the social media. Thank you so much for all the help on that, but we think we can do it for a while. But now, what we really need help with now is we decided to move into trade shows, and we need we need some help we have no idea how to go about getting a trade show booth printed and all that stuff.
Okay.
So just having that marketing partner there who can help you as the company grows, because your needs are going to grow as well.
Okay, so after you get the base, you fixed the base of your brand, and you got your values, you've got a product that people are liking, and then from a tactical standpoint, maybe give us some helpful hints on, or maybe some trending ideas on tactics.
Well, influencers is one of the biggest trending things right now. And a lot of it is pay to play. TikTok has created some very wealthy 12-year-olds. It's amazing.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing how much influence a lot of people have there. So it's not perfect for every business at all. TikTok as a platform isn't necessarily where your target audience is going to be. So you really have to don't start with what are the trending tactics, but where do our target audiences spend time? What media do they consume? Where are they likely to be looking for, or at least feel like if they see our ad, it's consistent with what they would expect to find there. If they're watching a movie and you have a muffler shop and you decide, well, we know they're going to watch this movie, don't expect them to stop watching the movie to go and pick up the phone and call to get their muffler fixed. But if you're just trying to build brand awareness, then you can be in places where people aren't, like maybe on radio where people are driving. Don't expect them to pull over and go to your website right then. But there are digital opportunities through radio where they'll receive it on their desktop or on their phone, where they easily can do that, or where if you're just really trying to build brand awareness, then having that broad microphone, if you will, of radio can be really valuable, because you get a lot of earballs listening on radio. You
mentioned influencers. I do a lot of investing. So even prior to the Growth Factory, I've been investing. A few of the companies that we've invested into are very strong in influencer marketing. One of them, in fact, might be a good information for our audience, is called Grin, and it actually. Are you familiar with Grin?
Yes.
So that company has blown up. They are a influencer marketing platform that connects major brands with micro influencers, so that you can get the TikTok 12-year-old. How do you find the TikTok 12-year-old and manage 100 TikTok 12-year-olds? Well, through this company Grin, it's a subscription service. You can utilize that and really build out a more sophisticated influencer marketing attack plan.
Right.
So that's just kind of a cool thing.
It absolutely is. Early on social media, no one could figure out how you use that for marketing. It was, really for staying in touch with your college friends and so forth, and marketers figured out how to turn it into, and other people in Silicon Valley figured out how to turn it into strong marketing tools. The same thing that has happened with influencers.
So we only have a few minutes left, but I'm kind of curious, like, where do you see, as you look at the horizon, we've seen this change in the way we go to market with digital, with influencers and micro-influencers. I mean, if you were to pull out the crystal ball, where do you see marketing going longer term?
The thing I'm most excited about the trending is how much digital information, data analytics are becoming available to be able to make marketing decisions. Going back to the Mad Men analogy that you had, it used to be that the saying was, I know that I'm wasting 75% of my marketing budget, but I don't know which 75%. So I just spend it all anyway, because otherwise I don't even have 25% working.
Yeah.
Now with all of the digital analytics that are available, we can track and optimize your marketing mix so that we take the information that from social media, for example, and we can do A/B testing and know what messaging is really resonating with people, and then use that information to perhaps tweak your website or create a landing page on your website. And then we can do earned media presence, and then take those stories and see what really is getting traction and amplify that back through social media and back onto the website. We can take information from direct sales and know that, suddenly people really like the strawberry burst flavor of this, and go all out with that information through influencers and so forth. So the whole science of marketing optimization, of an integrated marketing strategy, is that the data analytics from all of your different marketing tactics are helping to feed the in real time feed the strategies and continually optimize the effect.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so maybe last question, just words of wisdom to entrepreneurs out there that are wanting to grow their business, and what advice might you have for them? I know that's kind of a broad question, but maybe just some closing thoughts to our entrepreneurial community.
Well, I think entrepreneurs are self-doubters. Sometimes they are their biggest limiting factor. They are super excited, but you just don't know. You can see the vision in front of you, but you can't see the steps. And so really surround yourself with smart people who have been there before. I'm sure you, as a serial entrepreneur, are much more confident in taking the next steps on subsequent businesses because you've seen how it can work and you know that it will happen. Yes, it's scary to be an entrepreneur because if you haven't ever done it before, you feel like you're making it up as you go along. So get a mentor, join an organization. I was fortunate enough to join NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, early on, and other women who'd been there ahead of me. I could pick up the phone, and I did. And I said, how do you go about hiring somebody for my first hire? Where do you go to get HR help? I don't know how to do that. How do I get a 401k how do I even do that? Who should I talk to? Some of those things, you don't have to do the research yourself. You can talk to other entrepreneurs, and the mentors are really happy to help you with those sorts of things.
Yeah, nobody builds a truly great company alone. Surround yourself with good people. NABO does a lot of great work for so many, so I'm glad you brought them up. Well, Ann, I appreciate you sharing your story, giving us some good information on marketing. Again, Ann Stain, she's Sagent Marketing. Thank you for what you do, and thanks for making such an impact on this world.
Well, and I just want to thank you for inviting me and just say what a pleasure it is to meet you. Your work as a social enterprise is really such a bright shining star for our community. The Bay Area has a lot of people who are all about growing the community of business there, and it was such a wonderful discovery to find how much you're doing here for our region.
Thank you very much, Ann. I appreciate it. Welcome back to the Mark Haney Show, and today we heard the story of Sagent Marketing. Ann Staines has built this very unique company that really focuses on helping companies grow. Sometimes it's a nonprofit type of company, a not-for-profit. Sometimes it's a for-profit, but she's helping people build a business in a way that's more about the almighty dollar and putting money in our pocket, which, let me tell you, my friends, is very important in building a business. There's no problem more sales won't fix. We have to drive revenue, and I think we need to grow our businesses because if we're not growing, we're dying. But if we can build a business that somehow changes the world, now we have done something socially responsible for society. And I think that's what's missing in some people's perception of what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurs create opportunity, create great paying jobs in many cases, and in many cases, they create these solutions that help solve the world's biggest problems. At the Growth Factory, we've got a startup accelerator with an accompanying venture fund, and we're rallying to help the most promising startups in the region to grow. And each of these founders that we are backing, that we are supporting, is working on something that's socially responsible. Because I think when we solve a big problem, it's good for society, and that inherently makes it socially responsible. One of the companies that they'll be on the show, I'll be sharing some of these stories, but one of the companies is solving a problem around cybersecurity. And you think about the enormous problem that each of us faces when it comes to protecting our data and protecting our identity and avoiding harmful attacks. It's been highlighted in the news over the last several years. But I mean, you think about what's happening with the Russian coming in and invading Ukraine. We all are expecting an enormous increase in cyber attacks. And one of the companies that we invested into is called Threatrix, and they are solving a problem in cybersecurity that other people are not addressing. And I mean, when we attack a problem with the passion of an entrepreneur that is all in, a growth factory entrepreneur that is fully committed, we can do some great things in the world. And that's what John McDonald and Kristen Bianchi are doing with Threatrix. It's just one of the 15 companies we invested into that is solving an enormous problem at the growth factory. And it's also very rewarding to be knowing as a startup accelerator and a venture capitalist to know that you're helping support solving these world's biggest problems and living vicariously through these very committed founders. So if you want to get involved with the most ambitious, the most committed, the people solving the world's biggest problems right here in the hometown we love, hit me up at the Mark Haney. And we got to rally ourselves around them because that's the right thing for us to do. That's the socially responsible thing for Sacramentans to do, is to put their money where their town is or their talent or their connections. It's up to us to help the Sacramento small business people, up to us to help the Sacramento entrepreneurs to succeed. And that's what the Growth Factory is all about. So to all you out there fighting the good fight to solve big problems, fighting the good fight to keep our world safe, for our security, our national security, and of course, this way of life that we love. We're never above you. We're never below you. Always by your side.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.